The aliens thought humanity was weak because humans bled easily. They were wrong. Humans just learned how to bleed without breaking. The trade happened in the open market of Virex Station, under white lights and armed drones. No chains. No screams. Just a silent exchange. A living alien girl for a crate of ration blocks and recycled water filters. Her own species signed the mark. Her own sisters walked away. And the human who witnessed it did not interfere, because sometimes survival begins with watching and remembering. Her name was Kylera. She did not cry when the deal was finished. Crying wasted water. She stood barefoot on the cold alloy floor, hands folded behind her back, eyes lowered in the posture of obedience drilled into her since childhood. Her species, the Valari, believed submission was safety. Kylera had learned the truth long ago. Submission only delayed pain. Across the market, Ethan Cross watched in silence. Ethan was not a soldier anymore. He was worse. He wore plain civilian clothing, no insignia, no weapon visible. But his eyes missed nothing. The way the Valari women avoided Kylera's gaze. The way the ration crate weighed less than a human child. The way Kylera's shoulders tightened when the transaction tone chimed complete. Property transferred. The Valari sisters left without looking back. Kylera remained. The buyer turned, expecting security escorts. Instead, he found a human standing too close. Exchange complete, the buyer said. Step away, human. Ethan didn't move. She's starving, he said calmly. She is compliant, the buyer replied. That is enough. Kylera kept her eyes down. Humans were unpredictable. Sometimes kind. Sometimes monsters. The safest assumption was danger. Ethan exhaled slowly. How much? He asked. The buyer laughed. Already paid. Ethan reached into his coat and placed a data chip on the counter. Then another. Then another. Credits. Medical access. Transport clearance. The buyer's laughter stopped. I wasn't asking to buy her, Ethan said. I was asking how much to make this deal disappear. Silence fell across the stall. Kylera's breath hitched despite her training. The buyer scanned the chips, his pupils dilating. You're insane. Probably, Ethan agreed. But I'm also human. The Market Authority drone hovered closer, sensors spinning. The buyer hesitated. Then nodded once. Fine. Transfer reversed. The drone chimed. Ownership voided. Kylera staggered slightly as the invisible weight shifted. She did not understand freedom. Only the sudden absence of a cage. Ethan turned to her. You're coming with me, he said. She dropped to her knees instantly, forehead touching the floor. I obey, she said softly. I serve. Ethan froze. People stared. Drones adjusted threat levels. Somewhere, a merchant laughed. Ethan crouched slowly until he was level with her. No, he said, voice firm but gentle. You don't kneel for me. Kylera did not move. If I do not kneel, I am punished. You're not Valari property anymore, Ethan said. You're under human protection. She looked up for the first time. Her eyes were silver black, reflective like polished stone. Empty of hope. Full of calculation. Protection costs, she said. What do you want? Ethan swallowed. I want you alive, he said. That's it. Her expression flickered, confusion, then suspicion. Humans lied. Everione lit. He stood and offered his hand. After a long moment, Kylera took it. The ship was small. Old. Human-built. No luxury, no guards. That scared her more than chains ever had. Kylera sat on the floor near the wall, back straight, hands folded. She did not explore. Exploration invited punishment. Ethan noticed everything. He powered the ship and spoke without turning. You hungry? Yes, she answered immediately. Hunger was constant. Admitting it was safe. He passed her a nutrient pack. She stared at it. Eat, he said. She broke it into pieces. Counted them. Ate slowly. Ethan's jaw tightened. You don't have to ration, he said. There's more. She shook her head. More is never guaranteed. He didn't argue. That night, she did not sleep. She watched him instead. Humans slept deeply. Recklessly. Like predators who had never been hunted. Ethan woke to find her kneeling near the doorway. You can sleep, he said. I must be ready, she replied. For what? For when you decide I am no longer useful. The words landed harder than any weapon. They reached Haven Dock, a quiet human station far from trade routes. No alien banners. No markets. Just steel corridors and human voices. Kylera clung close to Ethan. Humans stared, but none reached for restraints. That confused her. Her room was small. Clean. Private. This is yours, Ethan said. She stepped inside cautiously. A bed, she whispered. Yes. For me. Yes. She sat on the floor beside it. Ethan turned away so she wouldn't see his expression. Days passed. Kylera learned human routines. Human food. Human silence. She learned that Ethan did not strike when she made mistakes. That he asked instead of ordered. That he never touched her unless she initiated contact, and even then, he pulled away. This unsettled her more than cruelty ever had. On the 5th day, alarms screamed. Red lights flooded the corridor. Ethan grabbed his jacket and a compact weapon from a hidden panel. Stay here, he said. Kylera followed anyway. Through the viewport, she saw them. Black ships. Corporate markings stripped. Hunters. Her blood ran cold. They are here for me, she said. Ethan didn't deny it. They tracked the trade, he said. You're valuable. She laughed softly. I told my sisters this would happen. You're not going back, Ethan said. The station shook as boarding clamps hit. Security teams mobilized. Too slow. Too weak. Kylera looked at Ethan. You will die for this choice, she said calmly. Maybe, he replied. But not quietly. He turned to her. And neither will you. For the first time since the market, Kylera felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Not hope. Not safety. Something sharper. Something human. The doors exploded inward. And the hunters stepped through. The first hunter through the door died before his boots touched the floor. Ethan fired once. A clean human shot. No warning. No speech. The kind of decision humans made when there was no time left for fear. The body dropped, armor smoking. Kylera did not scream. She moved. Her species was not built for combat. Valari bones were lighter. Muscles lean. But hunger had taught Kylera speed, and survival had taught her when to strike. She rolled behind a bulk crate as return fire shredded the doorway. Plasma scorched the walls. Station alarms screamed louder. Stay behind me. Ethan shouted. No, Kylera replied calmly. She grabbed the fallen hunter's blade. Heavy. Awkward. Alien-made. But weight was familiar. Hunger always weighed more. Another hunter advanced, visor glowing red. Ethan fired again, empty click. Out of ammo. The hunter raised his weapon. Kylera moved before Ethan could. She slid low, slashing upward with everything she had. The blade caught under the armor seam. The hunter screamed once. Then fell. Blood, dark and steaming, spattered her hands. Kylera stared at it. Then wiped her hands clean on her sleeve. I am still useful, she said quietly. Ethan looked at her, chest heaving. You never had to be, he said. More boots thundered down the corridor. Too many. Ethan grabbed her wrist. This way. They ran. Humans ran differently than Valari. Louder. Harder. But they didn't stop. Ethan didn't slow even when his lungs burned. Humans burned and kept moving. Kylera noticed that. They burst into a maintenance shaft and dropped inside as plasma fire scorched the opening. Darkness swallowed them. They climbed. Hands scraped metal. Kylira's muscles screamed. She did not complain. At the top, Ethan forced open a panel and shoved her through. The hangar. Empty. Their ship sat alone at the far end. Between them and it, 3 hunters. Ethan raised his weapon. 1 charge left. "Run when I fire," he whispered. Kylira shook her head. "You run." He didn't argue. Humans wasted no time on pride when survival mattered. He fired. The shot took out lights, not bodies. The hangar went dark. Kylira smiled grimly. Darkness favored the hunted. She moved silently, low and fast. The hunters activated thermal vision. Useless. Valari's skin ran cooler under stress. She leapt. The first hunter went down with a blade through the neck seal. The second turned too late. She used his body as cover from the third shot, then finished him. Silence returned. Kylira stood over the bodies, breathing hard. Ethan stared. "You planned that," he said. "Yes," she replied. "I always plan." They launched within seconds. As the ship tore free of the station, explosions rippled across Haven Dock. Corporate hunters retreating. For now. Kylira strapped herself into the co-pilot seat without being told. Ethan glanced at her. "You okay?" "Yes." Then, after a pause, "No." He nodded. Humans understood no that followed yes. They hid among debris fields for 3 days. Kylira barely slept. When she did, she dreamed of chains turning into hands. Hands turning into blades. Blades turning into human eyes that refused to look away. On the 4th day, Ethan spoke. "They'll keep coming," he said. "Corporations don't stop hunting assets." Kylira looked out at the stars. "I am not an asset," she said. "I know," he replied. "They don't care." She was quiet. Then, "My sisters knew this would happen." Ethan waited. "They sold me so I would reach a human," she continued. "Valari know humans fight differently. They hoped you would protect me." Ethan closed his eyes. "They didn't sell you," he said slowly. "They sacrificed their reputation so you could live." "Yes." "Do you hate them?" Kylira considered the question carefully. "Hate requires energy," she said. "I use energy to survive." "Fair." Ethan leaned back. "You're immune, aren't you?" She stiffened. "Yes." "To the plague?" "Yes." "They want to cut you open for it?" "Yes." Ethan exhaled. "What if we don't run?" he said. Kylira turned sharply. "What if we fight?" he continued. "Not with guns. With rules." She tilted her head. "Explain." "Humans don't always win battles," he said. "We win systems." He pulled up a star map. Genesis Pharma operates legally. Licenses. Patents. Courts. Kylira frowned. "Courts do not stop bullets." "No," Ethan agreed. "But exposure does." He looked at her. "You want to hurt them." She didn't answer immediately. Then, "I want them to stop hurting others." Human enough. They went public. Ethan leaked data to every free network. Proof of corporate hunting. Illegal acquisitions. Dead refugees. Live experiments. Kylira recorded a message. She stood tall. No kneeling. No submission. "I was sold," she said calmly. "Not because I was weak. But because others were starving. You hunt me because I lived. If that is a crime, then I accuse you." The message spread. Fast. Too fast. Humans listened. Some remembered their own famines. Their own wars. Their own dead. Protests erupted. Stations denied Genesis docking rights. Unity Council opened investigations. Genesis responded the only way it knew how. With force. Their fleet jumped in system. Warships. Ethan stared at the tactical display. We're outmatched, he said. Kylera stood beside him. No, she said softly. You are human. He smiled grimly. Time to prove it. They broadcast again. This time, to everyone. If Genesis fires, Ethan said into the emissary, we release the cure. Genesis froze. They didn't know where it was. They didn't know if it was real. That uncertainty was poison. Humans loved uncertainty, when they controlled it. Negotiations began within hours. Kylera watched the corporate representatives bow their heads slightly. Not submission. Fear. She felt something loosen inside her chest. Not hunger. Not pain. Power. Days later, on a quiet human world, Kylera stood barefoot on real soil. Wind touched her skin. She closed her eyes. This is what my dreams wanted, she said. Ethan stood beside her. You don't kneel anymore, he said. No, she agreed. I stand. She looked at him. What am I now? Ethan answered without hesitation. Alive. Free. Dangerous. She smiled. A Valari smile. Sharp. Human approved. And far away, corporations learned a new lesson. You don't trade lives for food. Because sometimes, humans trade systems for justice. The galaxy did not change overnight. That was the first lesson Kylera learned about freedom. On the surface of Aster Vale, the human world where they had landed, the sky was blue and endless. The wind carried the smell of soil and water. Birds, actual living creatures, cut across the air without tracking chips or ownership marks. Yet beyond that sky, the galaxy still turned the same way it always had. Corporations still counted lives as numbers. Governments still argued instead of acting. Predators still waited for silence to return. Genesis Farmer had paused, not surrendered. And humans knew the difference. Ethan watched the news feeds from a portable console while Kylera stood barefoot in the grass, learning how to balance on uneven ground. Her people grew up on metal floors and domes. Soil shifted. It did not obey. She stumbled once. Did not kneel. She adjusted her stance and kept walking. Ethan noticed. Humans always noticed small victories. They're spinning it, he said aloud. Kylera turned. Spinning. Making themselves look like the victims, he replied. Claiming they were protecting the public from a biological threat. Kylera tilted her head. I am the threat. To them, Ethan said. Because you can't be controlled. She considered that. On Sarah 7, threat meant death. On Earth, threat meant leverage. Different rules. Same fear. What happens next? She asked. Ethan shut down the console. Now we do the most dangerous thing humans ever do. She waited. We organize. The first meeting was small. Too small for what they were planning. A rented hall. Folding chairs. Old lighting. Humans, a few aliens, and Kylera standing at the front beside Ethan. No guards. No weapons. That scared her. On Sarah 7, gatherings meant raids. Here, it meant voices. A human woman spoke first. A doctor. My clinic lost 3 refugees last year, she said. All taken for medical relocation. None returned. An alien male followed. Scarred. Old. My son was immune to the dust plague. He vanished. Each story landed like a stone. Kylera listened. She did not cry. She remembered. At the end, Ethan looked at her. Do you want to speak? She hesitated. Valari were not speakers. They survived quietly. But she stepped forward. My sisters traded me for food, she said plainly. Not because they hated me. Because they loved me. Murmurs rippled. They believed humans were different, Kylera continued. That humans fight rules, not bodies. They were right. She looked directly at the cameras. I am not a cure, she said. I am proof. Proof that survival should not be owned. Silence followed. Then applause. Not loud. Not wild. But steady. Human applause. Genesis moved that night. A legal injunction froze Ethan's assets. Arrest warrants followed. Bounties, disguised as recovery incentives, spread across the fringe. Kylera read every notice. They are tightening, she said. Yes, Ethan replied. Because they're scared. She nodded. Scared predators bite hardest. They relocated again. This time to a mobile habitat operated by a human-alien coalition. No flags. No branding. Just people who didn't want to be hunted. Kylera trained. Not with weapons. With people. She learned human law. Human media. Human misdirection. Humans did not overpower giants. They buried them under their own weight. Ethan watched her debate policy experts twice her age. She dismantled arguments with calm precision. They say I must be controlled for safety, she said during one broadcast. But safety without consent is only a cage with softer walls. The clip went viral. Genesis stock dipped. That scared them more than guns ever could. The attempt came 3 weeks later. Not hunters. Not ships. A knife in the dark. Kylera sensed it before the alarms. Instinct screamed. She rolled as the window shattered. A blade missed her throat by centimeters. The attacker was human. Young. Desperate. Stay back, he shouted. They'll kill my family. Kylera froze. She could kill him. She knew how. But she saw his eyes. Hunger. Fear. The same math she once lived by. Ethan entered silently behind him. The human dropped the knife when Ethan spoke. They lied to you, Ethan said. And you believed them because belief is cheaper than truth. Security arrived. The attacker was taken alive. Kylera sat shaking long after. I almost killed him, she said quietly. But you didn't, Ethan replied. She looked at her hands. I chose. Yes, he said. That's what they can't control. The Unity Council convened an emergency session. For the first time in decades, corporations were excluded. Kylera stood before representatives of 12 species. Lights. Cameras. History watching. You ask what humans contribute to the galaxy, she said calmly. I will tell you. She gestured to Ethan. They teach choice. They teach resistance. They teach that systems can be broken without breaking people. Murmurs spread. Genesis wanted my blood, she continued. Humans taught me my voice was stronger. The vote passed. By a narrow margin. Corporate biological ownership was outlawed. Retroactively. Genesis Pharma collapsed within the month. Executives fled. Assets seized. Records exposed. Not because of Kylera alone, but because humans had shown others how to fight back. Kylera returned once more to Virex Station. The market was still there, but something was different. No drones hovered near her. No eyes looked at her like inventory. She stood tall in the same place she had once knelt. A Valari child stared at her in awe. Are you human? The child asked. Kylera smiled softly. No, she said. But I learned from them. Ethan waited nearby. Ready to go? He asked. Yes, she said. Where? Kylera looked out at the stars. Anywhere, she replied. That's the point. She walked beside him, not behind. Not below. Beside. And the galaxy, slowly and unwillingly, began to adjust. Because humans had done what they always did best. They taught a survivor how to become a force. Peace never arrives quietly. It creeps in while everyone is watching for war. That was the second lesson Kylera learned. 6 months after Genesis Pharma collapsed, the galaxy looked calmer on the surface. New regulations passed. Committees formed. Public apologies filled the networks. Humans called it progress. Kylera called it a pause. She stood on the observation deck of the Coalition habitat, watching cargo ships come and go. No chains. No armed escorts. Just trade. Too clean. You feel it too, Ethan said behind her. Yes, she replied. The silence is wrong. Humans trusted silence only when they had earned it. Ethan hadn't. They're adapting, he said. Corporations don't disappear. They change skins. Kylera nodded. Like predators after a failed hunt. She had learned human history well. Empires didn't die loudly. They fragmented, rebranded, returned under new names. And she was still alive. That made her dangerous. The message arrived encrypted and ugly. No corporate logos. No signatures. Just coordinates and a sentence. They are doing it again. You taught us how to see. Ethan read it twice. Refugee convoy, he said. Outer rim. Non-human species. Disappearing. Kylera turned from the viewport. Who? The Kashari, Ethan replied. Avian. Peaceful. Low political value. Kylera's jaw tightened. Low value meant expendable. We go, she said. Ethan didn't argue. The convoy was gone when they arrived. Ships burned. Cargo scattered. Bodies drifting in vacuum like forgotten thoughts. Kylera moved through the wreckage in a pressure suit, hands steady despite the familiar smell of death. Hunger memory. Fear memory. Old ghosts whispering. She found survivors hiding inside a damaged transport. Children. Always children. They used legal flags, a Kashari elder said through static. Medical quarantine. We complied. Ethan closed his eyes. Same trick. Different victim. Kylera floated closer to the viewport, looking at the stars beyond. They will keep doing this, she said. Because it still works. Yes, Ethan agreed. Unless we change the cost. She turned slowly. Then we do not ask for laws, she said. We enforce consequences. Ethan studied her carefully. You're talking about escalation. I'm talking about deterrence, she replied. Humans understand this word. He smiled grimly. Yes, he said. We invented it. They didn't attack ships. They attacked credibility. Human analysts, Valari data brokers, and alien economists worked together. Kylera coordinated it all, calm and precise. She had learned the human way. Expose first. Strike second. Let the system eat itself. They traced shell companies. Followed medical licenses. Mapped shipping patterns that pretended to be humanitarian. Within weeks, the network had a name. The Quiet Hand. Former Genesis executives. Investors. Scientists who believed ethics slowed progress. Kylera recorded another message. This time, she didn't ask. If you wear a healer's symbol and steal lives, she said evenly, you will be seen. If you hide behind law, we will expose the law you broke. There will be no silence. The message ended. No threats. No drama. Just certainty. The Quiet Hand panicked. They made their mistake quickly. They came for Kylera directly. The ambush was elegant. No hunters. No guns. A diplomatic summit. Unity Council invitation. Official seals. Ethan read the document carefully. This is a trap, he said. Yes, Kylera replied. That is why we accept. Humans prepared contingencies. Aliens prepared witnesses. Kylera prepared herself. The council chamber was vast. 12 species. Hundreds of observers. Kylera walked alone to the center. No guards. No weapons. Confidence frightened predators more than armor. The accusations came fast. She is destabilizing galactic order. She incites unrest. She is a biological risk. Kylera waited. Then she spoke. I was sold for food, she said calmly. I was hunted for blood. I was nearly erased because survival made me valuable. Silence spread. You call me a threat, she continued. But I have not killed for profit. I have not hidden crimes behind medicine. I have not stolen children. She turned slowly, eyes scanning the chamber. But some of you have. Screens lit up. Data spilled out. Names. Transactions. Convoys. Bodies. The quiet hand collapsed in real time. Representatives shouted. Security moved. Cameras recorded everything. Kylera stood still. This is what humans taught me, she said. You do not need to be stronger than your enemy. You only need to be impossible to silence. The vote was immediate. Sanctions. Arrests. Seizures. Not mercy. Justice. Later, on the transport back, Kylera sat quietly. Ethan watched her. You could have become something else, he said. A weapon. A symbol. A ruler. She shook her head. I was property once, she said. I will never own others. She looked at him. You stayed, she added. Why? Ethan considered the question. Because someone once stayed for us, he said. A long time ago. Humans learned that lesson the hard way. Kylera leaned back, eyes closing. I am tired, she said. Yes, he replied. So are we. Outside the viewport, stars drifted past. The galaxy wasn't healed. But it was watching now. And watching changed things. Because humanity had done something far more dangerous than winning. They had taught others how not to lose. The galaxy remembered Kylera. Not as a weapon. Not as a victim. But as a turning point. That was the final lesson. Change does not announce itself with explosions or victory speeches. It settles in quietly, rewriting expectations until the old way feels impossible. A year after the fall of the Quiet Hand, trade routes reopened under new oversight. Refugee convoys traveled with open sensors and shared command. Medical ships published their logs in real time. Transparency became the cost of trust. Humans insisted on it. Other species followed, not because humans forced them to, but because humans proved it worked. Kylera watched all of this from a small station orbiting a blue-white star. Not a capital. Not a center of power. Just a place where decisions could be made without noise. She no longer hid. She no longer ran. She also no longer belonged to any one world. That was freedom. Ethan stood beside her as she reviewed the latest reports. Kashari children resettled, he said. Valari colonies receiving aid. No conditions. Kylera nodded slowly. My sisters would not believe this, she said. They believed enough to save you, Ethan replied. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I used to think survival meant bending until you fit someone else's shape. And now? Ethan asked. Now I know survival can mean standing until the world bends instead. Human enough. The invitation came unexpectedly. A Valari signal. Private. Unencrypted. Kylera recognized the frequency immediately. Her hands trembled for the first time in months. They're alive, she whispered. Ethan didn't speak. Humans knew when silence mattered. The meeting took place on neutral ground. No officials. No guards. Just 3 Valari women waiting under open sky. Ruth. T. Older. Thinner. Alive. Kylera approached slowly. They knelt. She froze. No, Kylera said sharply. Never again. They stood at once, shame flickering across their faces. We thought you would hate us, Ruth said. I don't, Kylera replied. I understand you. T swallowed. You changed everything. No, Kylera said gently. Humans did. I just listened. They embraced awkwardly, carefully. Not property. Not payment. Family. When they parted, Ruth looked at Ethan. You stayed, she said simply. Yes, Ethan replied. That was enough. Kylira's work did not end. It evolved. She helped build networks, teach refugees their rights, train human mediators to recognize the signs of exploitation before it became tragedy. Humans learned something too. That strength wasn't just endurance. It was restraint. More than once, Kylira was asked to lead. She refused. Power corrupted fastest when worn like a crown. Instead, she chose something quieter, something harder. She chose to teach. Years later, a human child asked her a question during a lecture. "Why did you trust humans?" the child asked. Kylira smiled softly. "I didn't," she said. "Not at first." The child frowned. "Then why did you stay?" Kylira thought of the market, the kneeling, the hunger, the hand that didn't demand obedience. "Because when humans see something broken," she said, "they don't always try to own it." "What do they do?" the child asked. "They ask how it survived," Kylira replied. Ethan watched from the back of the room, older now, slower, still human. Later, as they walked together beneath artificial stars, he asked her, "Do you ever miss who you were?" Kylira considered the question. "I honor her," she said, "but I do not return." She stopped and looked at him. "I am not the girl who was traded for food." "No," Ethan agreed. "You're something else." She nodded. "I am proof. Proof that survival does not require surrender. Proof that systems can be challenged. Proof that humanity's greatest weapon was never strength alone. It was the refusal to look away." And somewhere in the galaxy, when a deal was proposed that treated a life as currency, someone hesitated. Because humans had taught the universe a dangerous idea. That even the weakest voice, once heard, could change everything. The end.